Do you know that the day Nigeria found oil was the day Nigeria's greatest curse began? Do you know that the land sitting on the most oil in Africa is also home to some of the most suffering people in Africa? If you don't, subscribe to Afri Untold right now, because this is the story nobody wants to tell, honestly. January 1956, Shell engineers drilling in Oloibiri, a small village in what is now Bayelsa State, struck oil. It was the first commercial oil discovery in Nigerian history. The engineers celebrated. The colonial administrators celebrated. Nigeria was about to become wealthy beyond imagination. What nobody said out loud was the question that should have been asked immediately. Wealthy for whom? Nigeria gained independence in 1960 with oil already flowing. The new nation inherited something extraordinary, a resource that the entire industrialized world desperately needed. The optimism of independence was real and genuine. Nigerians believed that oil would be the foundation of a great nation. The first generation of Nigerian leaders spoke of making Nigeria the Japan of Africa. The wealth was real. The dream was real. What went wrong was also real. The oil fields multiplied rapidly through the 1960s. The Niger Delta, already one of the most biodiverse ecosystems on Earth, was transformed into an industrial zone almost overnight. Pipelines cut through fishing communities. Oil platforms appeared in waterways that had fed families for generations. The scale of transformation was staggering, and the communities watching it happen had no voice in any of the decisions being made. The agreements signed between Nigerian governments and international oil companies, Shell, Chevron, ExxonMobil, in the 1960s and 1970s were extraordinary documents of one-sided negotiation. Nigeria provided the oil. The companies provided the technology. The split of profits that resulted left Nigeria with a fraction of what the resource was actually worth. The contracts signed during military government eras were particularly devastating, signed by rulers with no democratic accountability to the people whose land was being exploited. The Niger Delta communities that sat directly on top of Nigeria's oil wealth watched something that defied logic. The oil came from underneath their land. The pipelines ran through their villages. The platforms sat in their fishing waters. And the wealth, the extraordinary generation-defining wealth, flowed almost entirely to Abuja, to Lagos, to London, and to Houston. The people of Oloibiri, where Nigeria's first oil was found, lived without electricity and running water for decades after the discovery that made Nigeria rich. The environmental destruction that came with oil extraction in the Niger Delta is one of the worst ecological disasters in human history. Oil spills that would have caused international outrage if they happened in Europe were routine occurrences in Nigerian communities. The fishing that had sustained Delta communities for generations collapsed. The water that communities drank became contaminated. The land that communities farmed became unusable. The companies responsible paid fines that were insults and moved on. Ken Saro-Wiwa saw what was happening and decided he could not be silent. The writer, activist, and Ogoni leader spent years documenting the destruction of his people's land and demanding accountability from both the oil companies and the Nigerian government. He organized peaceful protests. He spoke to international media. He wrote about what he witnessed with a clarity that made the powerful deeply uncomfortable. In 1995, the military government of Sani Abacha executed him. The international outrage that followed changed nothing about the oil contracts. The political history of Nigeria since oil was discovered is largely a history of who controls the oil revenue. Military coups in 1966, 1975, 1983, 1985, 1993, each one with oil money at its center. Civilian governments that rose and fell based on their relationship to oil contracts. A civil war in which the oil-rich Southeast attempted to secede and was pulled back through a conflict that killed millions. Oil did not just fund Nigeria, it corrupted every institution that touched it. The Niger Delta militants of the 2000s were not criminals who appeared from nowhere. They were the children and grandchildren of communities that had watched 50 years of oil wealth flow through their land without stopping. When peaceful advocacy produced nothing, when Ken Saro-Wiwa's execution proved that speaking truth had fatal consequences, some chose a different response. The pipelines that the companies refused to protect from spills were now being blown up deliberately. The oil that had ignored the delta was now being stolen from it. Modern Nigeria presents a paradox that should be impossible. The country with the largest oil reserves in Africa. A country where the majority of citizens live on less than $2 a day. A capital city, Abuja, of extraordinary planned beauty, built entirely with oil money. And Niger Delta communities, the source of that oil money, that still lack basic infrastructure 60 years after the first well was drilled. The oil curse is not a metaphor. It is a documented, measurable, ongoing reality. They found the resource that should have made Nigeria the greatest nation in Africa. Instead, it became the curse that captured every institution, corrupted every government, and left the people sitting on top of it as the ones who benefited least. Do you know this story? Subscribe to Afri Untold for more forgotten Nigerian stories every week. These stories deserve to be told, especially the ones that hurt.